To put it bluntly.
Accessibility podcast, to put it bluntly.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of season 2 of To Put It Bluntly, or episode 21 if you're keeping track that way. We'd like to keep them both on track. And I'm babbling, as you can tell. So, I am all joined as always by my co-host, who has finally embraced the boldness. Was close enough. Wobbles, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are we?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Yeah, no, as you say, I have embraced the bold. We were going with it. It's been... It just looks stupid now. It's that receding and getting that fitting.
Yeah.
I
What do you think goes with a hat?
I need to embrace it, so I'm embracing it. We're just going to keep it nice and buzz cut and go from there. But, as ever, we are joined by an illustrious gust,
Gust of wind.
a gust of wind, an illustrious gust, as we're now going to call it. Grant. Some of you may know him as Grant Stoner. Some of you may know him as Hot Wheels. But he is a recognised face in the accessibility scene and in the game industry. Welcome, Grant.
Hi, thank you for having me. Also, I'm also embracing the bold. So you have someone with you.
It's
Love to hear it.
it's the best way. Bold is best. Is going to be my new life approach. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
The only problem is Wobbles, me and Grant both got beards.
Yeah, I can't grow the beard. That is the
Can't
big
grow beard.
issue. I haven't hit puberty yet.
It's alright, there's still time.
There's still time. So we are on, what is it, 21st of February. This year is flying by, and we are recording in the evening UK time, which is unusual for me and Cameron because we normally record in the daytime. But as Grant is based in America, we are recording later on. How's everyone's day been so far? Week been?
Yeah, if you want to start, Grant, then yeah.
Yeah, okay, I guess, we're just living under, everything happening, so we're all just taking it day by day and trying to make the best of it, but we're good,
Good.
Can't complain in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I think my week's been pretty hectic because I'm going on holiday next week. So
Cameron,
Yeah,
you're going to Turkey, aren't you? He's coming back with a new
Yeah,
hairline.
it's not going to be the hairline. I'm not coming back with hair or teeth. Might have stomach surgery. I don't know. I'll see when I get there. But no, seriously, it's going to be hopefully some decent weather for once, and just relax for a few days. Which I don't know, because I did say I'd help record the pod from up there, and you went nope.
No, you're on holiday. You're not recording the podcast. You're on holiday. You're going to have a nice time with your family and get a new hairline.
Yeah. We will have a special guest host next week.
Yes, we will, and you will find out before. He's a previous guest that's now going to be special hosting with me next week for one episode. And we will now look at what's everyone been playing this week.
Come on, Bob, so you can start.
I have been playing Avowed, Kingdom Come. I'm still very deep in the Kingdom Come 2 hole that I am massively enjoying. It's taken over. Is it better than Star Wars Outlaws? Possibly for me, as my game of the last 12 months, because I am absolutely in love with it. So I've been playing that on stream, the normal FC and Avowed, which came out. We haven't done an episode since Avowed came out, have we?
Yeah, you were the early access, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but I'm really enjoying Avowed. My RPG itch is being well and truly scratched in the last week, it's safe to say, with the two big launches of the last couple of weeks. What have you been...
What were you, Grant?
I've been playing a lot of throwback retro games. So I've been playing Pokemon Sapphire. My friend showed me this emulator device where you can plug into your PC and put in your Game Boy games into the emulator, so you can play directly on your PC without having to download ROMs and things like that. So I've been playing my old Pokemon games again and reliving that nostalgia, and then also my friend group and I recently got back into old school RuneScape.
Oh, yeah.
like so we all get membership and we'll just start replaying old school again. But I'm just anticipating Monster Hunter Wilds coming out in a week, so I'm trying not to play anything major until then,
Yeah. Yeah.
just to give myself.
I'm similar when big games come out.
Yep,
I'll like try and play smaller games. Yeah.
yep.
For me, I've been playing a bit of Far Cry 6. I've had it for like 2, 3 years, and I thought, why not? I'm going on holiday soon. Might as well have something just to play. Really, quite enjoyed it. Just more Far Cry, just in a fictional version of Cuba with Gus Fring as its dictator.
Is
Not
that
much more
the
you can ask for.
one with the? I only know it by the pets. Is that the one with the dog?
Yeah, it's the one with the dog with the like the wheelchair, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and the crocodile
And the crocodile. Yeah,
and
the
the
crocodile was what I was thinking. Yeah.
and the panther. Yeah, Doctor Dolittle Zoo, in other words. But yeah, and I've just started Lost Records Bloom and Rage, which is the new game by the people who made the original Life is Strange. So it's set in the 90s. Um, VHS, nostalgia, blockbuster, Tamagotchi. It's all included, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. I did a review for Fun Culture, so that's going to go out sometime next week when I'm away. But yeah, just them two really.
Yeah, we've had a
And
bit of. It's we're kind of in between a few releases at the moment.
yeah,
It's everyone is. I do think everyone is still holding the release dates until we all find out what day GTA 6 is being released. I think that's.
yeah,
I think that's quite common knowledge now. Everyone's. I was quite surprised Borderlands 4 announced their release date,
yeah.
considering they're going to be. That's probably about the same kind of time you're going to be seeing GTA 6.
I think GTA be October now because I think Borderlands had come out before GTA. So I think it'll be October because they want to probably avoid Call of Duty, even though they don't need to.
No, I don't
Could
think.
Yeah.
release they could release on Christmas Day and cancel Christmas. It'd be GTA Day.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be
It's gonna be October, I think.
October,
That's my
November, I think
prediction.
now.
Yeah.
But let's go on to the first segment of today's episode where we will be talking to Grant. Grant will be, as always, introducing himself, telling us who is Grant Stoner, the award-winning journalist and all-round amazing guy who is renowned for a bow tie, I believe.
He is, yeah. He does have a bow tie collection.
It's yeah. So Grant, who are you? We know you quite well, obviously, being inside the accessibility space. But who is Grant Stoner?
Hi, I'm Grant. I guess professionally, I'm um a disability reporter in the gaming industry, covering accessibility and the disabled perspective. Um, I've been doing this professionally since 2019 now. And I have bylines in publications like Washington Post, IGN, Wired.com, Kotaku, um, and several other websites across the internet. Um, my stories focus on what developers are doing in their studios to make their games accessible for disabled members, as well as how disabled people either benefit or feel neglected from lack of initiative from studios. When I originally started writing, I was doing mostly reviews for Can I Play That? It's a publication dedicated exclusively to the disabled perspective in games. I was the mobility editor at the time, which basically meant I wrote most of the reviews for mobility, um, accessibility. Um, I then sort of shifted to focus more on community stories, um, which is where I found sort of my passion again with writing. Um, Part of why I became a journalist was to directly give disabled people uh, a microphone, essentially, growing up, um, it was always the same 5 to 10 people that would speak about accessibility and disabled issues. Um, while this is no slight against them, it's not really possible to talk about the vastness of the disabled experience if you're only talking to the same 5 to 10 people. Um, so my ethos with writing is trying to find as many unique voices as possible with my work, and then just giving a microphone directly to them, and letting them share their feelings, concerns, celebrations, griefs, whatever they want to talk about for the piece. And it's something that I'm very happy doing. I love all the connections I made. I've made really good friendships through this career. I met my partner through this career. I met you two through this career.
Yeah.
That's probably a highlight.
Yeah, that's yeah.
That's number one.
Yeah, it's number
That's
one.
number one of everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Sorry, Poppy.
Yeah. She'll forgive you.
Yeah.
But it's sort of in a time where disabled people really didn't have a platform in this industry. It was nice to come in at the time with a small team to elevate disabled voices, and now it's nice to continue carrying on that job of just giving people a microphone and letting them speak about issues or, like I said, celebrations. Basically, just showing the industry that disabled people aren't inspirational objects for others, right? That we are our own people, we have our own identities, our own concerns, our own needs and values. And it's very important for the industry to see us as entire beings, if that makes sense,
Yeah,
right?
no.
Not
100%,
just
yeah.
used as
100%, 100%. Yeah.
objects. Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
yeah, no, I've done a little bit with you about Starfield because there was obviously massive concerns about
Mm-hmm.
Starfield's release,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of, like you've said, you gave people a voice to kind of go, right, it's the biggest game arguably Xbox have probably released in 5 years, and there was no accessibility information days before launch, weeks before launch, months before launch, and
Mm-hmm.
you definitely clocked onto that as well. And as you said, you do give people voices, you give people the opportunity to raise their concerns about gaming and about the lack of accessibility in gaming and everything regards to that. But would you mind telling us a little bit about your disability and yourself?
Yeah. I have a neuromuscular disability called spinal muscular atrophy type 2. I believe now there's 5 types. There's 0 through 4. Um, and it's a progressive disability that weakens my muscles over time. Um, so the best way I can describe it from like a very quick view is the strength I had when I was a young child is nothing compared to what I have now. So when I was younger, I was able to feed myself, handwrite a lot, hold standard controllers. As I aged, it got increasingly difficult to do those things. Now, in relation to gaming, I have to use a lot of adaptive equipment to even play. So I use the Xbox adaptive controller with a variety of buttons and switches from a company called Warfighter Engaged. I also have the Logitech adaptive kit. Um, I use the PlayStation Access controller with the leftover buttons from the Logitech adaptive kit. Um, I use a Logitech mouse, which, while it isn't meant for accessibility, it has buttons on both sides, which is helpful for me because I can't really use my right hand as much to use the keyboard. I'm primarily left-handed, so I use my mouse in my left hand. So it helps add extra keys where my right hand can't perform those functions. It's made me intimately aware of the need for accessibility in the industry beyond just options in the menu. And I feel like my lived experience helps me be better at my job because I can go into an interview, for example, right? Let's say I'm interviewing a developer. I can be like, okay, well, disabled people are experiencing this because I'm experiencing this.
Mm-hmm.
And I know if I'm experiencing it, they are too. Or I can, interview a disabled individual and be like, how has your disability impacted your gameplay? Because if mine has, I guarantee yours has as well. So let's talk about that. Yeah, it's something that my disability I will have for the rest of my life. It's something that will continue to evolve with me throughout my life. And it's something that I admittedly used to shy away from.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of like internalized ableism growing up. Partly because I was the only person in a wheelchair in my school district, the entire school district.
Wow. That's
Um,
so for the people
yeah,
that don't know what a school district is in the UK, it's a collection of schools inside the same city, if I'm correct.
kind of. I'm trying to think of the equivalent for you guys. Um, so we have elementary, middle school, and high school,
Yep.
right? So I guess that would be your sixth form through
Primary school to nursery.
primary school through, yeah. I'm trying to remember what Poppy taught me. But yeah, education system, I'm not doing a very good job. But basically, from the time I was 5 to the time I was 18, I went through a elementary school, then a middle school, and then a high school. Because the neighborhood I lived in, that was the district that was provided for that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the only individual in a wheelchair throughout the entire time I was
That's
there. So for me, I never felt disabled, even though obviously I was, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until college or uni, as the Brits say. Um, but it wasn't until college when I saw others with disabilities, profound disabilities, um, disabilities that you can't really tell upon first glance. Um, and I saw just how big the community was, and that's when I started to embrace my identity and then accept who I was, and then basically that's how I ended up here.
It's quite a similar story to a lot of people that I talk to that now work in the accessibility space, especially as lived experience side of it, that work in the accessibility space, the disabled people inside the space definitely is. I didn't really embrace my disability until after school, until adulthood or young adulthood. My similar story is very similar to yours. Going through school, I'd never met another child that had a vision impairment to my level. There was children in glasses, but there wasn't anyone that had to have screen like enlarged papers or use a tablet at school or use a computer instead of a piece of pen and paper. And it's when you get to an adulthood, you kind of go, oh my god, you find a space and there's lots of other people in the same boat as you. And then you kind of find another space inside the accessibility community, and it's like, oh my god, there's visually impaired and disabled people that also want to play games. And it's very, excuse the pun, it's eye opening, I think.
Ooh,
Sorry.
you're off the stage.
It's very it was one of the hardest things I've had to do in my life is go from thinking I was, quote unquote normal, right? To then being slapped in the face with, wow, you're very disabled, but it's okay. Because there's other disabled people who are proud of who they are. It was something that I fought against for years. Literally, the reason why I'm a writer is my former editor at the college newspaper, who still to this day happens to be one of my best friends. We're going out to lunch tomorrow, actually. Um, Wanted me to review the Switch when it released, but he wanted me to review from an accessibility perspective. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And he was like, all right, then I just want to publish the review. And I was like, all right, fine, eat shit. So I wrote the review as an accessibility review. And then 6 months later, it won second place in the Keystone Press Awards, which is the entire state of Pennsylvania, has awards for collegiate publications as well as just standard news. And it won second place in the review category. And so my friend gave me the award, was like, well, look at what we have here. And that's what made me realize that it was okay to write about these things. There is some market for it. Obviously, I didn't know at the time it would be this, because I was still in college. But it made me go, okay, maybe I can do this. And that's what started me fully dipping my toes into it before fully embracing it into what it is today.
So,
I think
so
like a lot of people in the accessibility space have been like Wobbles. You said your wife really helped you, inspired you to start.
yeah, it's the combination of my wife kind of telling me to do it, and a friend of mine. Well, we were going for like whatever. We go for a bit of a rough patch in life, as you do, and I was like, I want to maybe start making content, but I don't know if I want to start making content about accessibility. I was kind of dipping my toes in it, tweeting the occasional stuff about it, as you do, and then next thing you know, I kind of get a parcel one Boxing Day a few years ago, and he sent me an Elgato capture card, and he was like, "Right, now go." He's like, You have the confidence to sit in front of a camera where many people wouldn't. You don't give a shit about what people say on the internet, so just go for it." And that's kind of like your friend kind of forcing your newspaper article into the. He kind of put a capture card in front of me and went, "I've spent money on this. Now you have to do it." And it does make you kind of go. You do sometimes need that person to force your hand a little bit in this space.
Yeah, 100%.
And
Yeah.
you do. You need someone that's kind of going to make you go, right, do it. Or because you can do it, and you need someone to kind of back you and believe you. And like you've said then, Grant, you kind of eventually turn around and you go, oh, I can do this actually. And it does work out. And it's not always like roses and happy endings, but it's you can make a living off of it, and eventually, and you can meet friends, you can meet your partner, and you can. It all happens from one person kind of going, actually, do you know what? You can do this.
Yeah,
Very
every time I
sliding
win,
doors.
every time I win an award, God, that makes me sound so pretentious. I didn't mean to sound like that. Oh my
No, no
gosh.
worries.
Every if I win an award, I'll say that. My friend will message me and be like, "Where's my thank you speech? Where's my speech? You better let everyone know I did this." Because it's true, he was the reason that
Yeah.
I'm where I am today. It's because he made me do it.
It's
I think the accessibility community owes a big thank you.
yeah, they do.
So,
Someone
yeah.
like yourself, Grant, has probably paved the way for a generation of accessibility people, consultants, people with confidence to kind of open up about their disability as well, and not just stick to the normal stories about disability. I think what I do like about yourself, especially, is your ability to look at things from the total opposite end of the scale to everyone else. And there's a piece of yours, so it's my favourite piece, and it's why Elden Ring is actually accessible.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. A little bit of background on that piece. I'm a huge FromSoft simp. I love FromSoft. I think they are one of the best developers in the industry. If they release a game, I will be there day one. If there are no fans left of FromSoft, it's because I died. Like, I am true FromSoft fan. If you can, I see the little statue on the top of my bookshelf, like the red one with the spear.
Yeah.
That's the main villain of the Elden Ring DLC. Like I bought the collector's edition. I love FromSoft. And I wanted to write a piece because there are. I'm not gonna say names, right? Because that's not right now. But there's some in the space who, if games don't have difficulty options, it's deemed a failure, right? And there's so much of an emphasis on a little option that really can't fix the accessibility barriers that these games have, right? It's like if you have visual disabilities, right? Like you, Wobbles, like easy mode isn't gonna fix that,
Easy, so
right?
I will die on the hill that easy mode isn't accessibility. That's a hill I am prepared to put my flag on and die on.
I will gently refute that. I think it is. I think easy mode is not what the community thinks it is. I fully believe it is accessibility, right? Because it can benefit people
Yeah.
with varying disabilities. However, there is so much of an emphasis on this option as the like cure all.
Yeah, that's
Where if
yeah,
you're disabled,
Yeah.
just put easy mode and you'll be fine.
that's what my
And
kind of yeah.
hmm and I wanted to write that piece to show the community, not so much the industry, because the industry developers kind of understand this,
Yeah.
right? We've seen it with games where there are no difficulty options with the design practices.
Yeah.
Sort of add difficulty, remove it depending on what you do. But I wanted to write this piece specifically for the disabled community to show you that you're relying too much on something that can't do what you think it
Yeah.
does. And it's one of the pieces that, even though it's what 3 years old now,
Yeah, it's
3 or 4.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, holy shit! It's one of the pieces I'm most proud of because I want to show the community that we don't have to agree on everything, and that's okay that we don't agree on everything. But we shouldn't belittle a game because it doesn't have something that you don't understand what it fully does.
Hmm.
And that's what I wanted to show people is that respectfully, you don't know what you're talking about. You're putting too much emphasis on something that will not help you the way you think it will. Where you should be redirecting your energy toward asking FromSoft for better design practices, for other options, right, to help you
So
make the game accessible.
this is where me yeah I am very. People say to me I'm quite renowned for being a bit of a from software basher because of one I think it's the community more than anything, not yourself necessarily because you're a big fan, but that corner of the from software community that are very much. If you haven't completed Elden Ring with a pair of Donkey Kong bongos, you aren't a real
Yeah,
gamer.
yeah. Well, those people are assholes, right?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and
They're
that's
not.
that's my big issue with it. And then you kind of turn around to people and like you've said, I say to people that at its core, if you ask me why I don't like Elden Ring, and I'm like because it's not got very good games design practice in certain areas. It's missing key elements for me, and it's just little things like you said. That's why I sit there and say it's to me it's not accessible as a visually impaired person, but for other people it will be, and it's not.
The
It's
thing is,
yeah.
you're right. You're absolutely right with that statement. It's not accessible, right? Like, there's not good design practices for people with visual disabilities. There's not good design practices for people who are deaf or hard of hearing. For cognitive accessibility, it's a nightmare
Yeah,
because there's no
there's
guides
no guides, isn't yeah,
whatsoever. They literally just drop you in and be like, all right, have fun.
yeah,
Um, but that's where our anger should be directed, right? So actually, you're doing it the way I want people to do it.
hmm
You're highlighting that, hey, this shit sucks, but for the reasons why it sucks.
and that's why I went. I think you smiled when I said that was my favourite piece of yours, because it's one that not many people probably talk about. But for me, it taught me so much as an accessibility consultant, because you came at a game that in the time was being destroyed in the accessibility community, and you kind of came at it and went, you know what, guys, I'm going to really stir the pot here, and I love it.
Check that grenade.
Yeah, I'm just going to take the cooking pot and throw a grenade right in the middle of it and watch the carnage unfold, because you sat there and you went, actually, no, it is accessible to me, and do you know what? Basically, fucked a lot of you, and I was like, I love it. I'm here for that. Let's, yeah.
It's the one thing that I want our community to understand is we're not a monolith, and a lot of us in the community treat us like we're a monolith, right? We're like, oh, this game sucks, so we all have to hate it.
Yeah.
It's like, but we don't. We really don't. Like, you're stripping away the agency of so many players who can enjoy it, who are disabled, because you don't have that experience. And if you don't have that experience, you should be mad, but you shouldn't get mad at others who can, right? But the perfect example I give is The Last of Us 2. And we all know that game, right? We all know it. I fucking hate that game. I think it has been one of the biggest barriers in the accessibility community because now everyone expects every game
To be
to
like
be
that,
like The
yeah.
Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
It has done more damage to the concept of what accessibility is to the AAA scene because they introduced a game with rightfully a lot of good features, but they did it in a way where the design of the game wasn't really touched. It was all just features.
It was all set. It
So
was.
at the right, so at the end of the day, it's only accessible because of these options.
hmm
And it made it so that the mindset, and I've seen this time and time again, the mindset from players, from developers, are we want this game to be like The Last of Us. And if The Last of Us can do it, why can't this studio? And that's done so much harm to the movement, way more than FromSoft ever has. Way more than companies like Nintendo, because I know disabled community, some sections have a gripe against Nintendo, right? But way more than Nintendo has, way more than FromSoft, because you made it so that you gave people rightfully what they deserved, but you did it in a way that wasn't as productive as we could have hoped for. Because now, PlayStation, Naughty Dog, and I love PlayStation. I'm not a PlayStation hater at all. I grew up on PlayStation. You PlayStation created this narrative where they can make their games accessible because we have The Last of Us. And other studios, well, they're not like us. And that's done so much harm to our understanding of what accessibility is and what it can be. And I think for me, that's my biggest critique of the industry is the release of The Last of Us.
It's it. I do say to people, it's the game that changed my life that I'll never play. And people are
Yeah,
like,
I
what?
actually can't play it.
You can't or you can?
No,
No.
no, I can't.
Okay.
People don't know that. People think, Oh, so that's why I physically cannot play the game because the options don't do enough. And if you say that, you get destroyed
Yeah. Where
because there's this belief that it solves accessibility.
no, I'm very much like you on that. People ask me like, what's your example of the most accessible game? And my answer to them is a vision impaired perspective. I always say Forza.
Yeah, Forza did incredible.
And that's what, and people are like, why? And I'm like, because it took an activity that isn't accessible in real life. We can't go out there and drive cars in real life, but in the video game space, we can now drive cars around racetracks, and that's the whole point of accessibility to me: is taking something that's inaccessible and making it accessible. And driving is very inaccessible to a blind person, but you can sit there and you can watch blind content creators race on Forza, and that's
and have zero issues.
and have zero, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what, but yeah, and I'm very much like you. I would like The Last of Us now. It's had its place, it's had its time. Can we just leave it in the fucking background?
When I see stuff about accessibility, it's always Last of Us Part 2 set the benchmark, and it's like you said, it's probably doing more harm than good now because people are expecting that with every release from now on, and yeah, it's interesting me to look at it. Though I didn't really think of it that way, but now you say it, then
Yeah.
it does make a lot of sense.
I saw a major content creator publish a video when Final Fantasy 16 was being like toured at press tours and things, right? Because there was a big discussion where the creator of Final Fantasy 16 was like, we don't want difficulty options. So this content creator made a video and literally said, it was like a 40-minute video, all about if The Last of Us can do it, why can't you? And I just remember watching that video and just seeing red the entire time.
I'd have turned it off after 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah,
I can't lie.
It was very difficult to sit there because you were seeing firsthand the damage that game did because it expects every other game to follow suit.
Yeah, and there's a million and one arguments from within the games industry itself, which we know is a bit of a shit show at the moment, and we'll talk about that in a little while, as always, because it's been in the news again. That games developers can't spend millions of pounds or hundreds of man hours working on settings menu with 800 settings in it, because it's just it's a dumpster fire at the moment, as we will talk about. But let's talk about some positives. I'm gonna be really horrible here. From one award winner to another. You've had recent.
I'll just go, guys. But when I say that, I did get a bottle of champagne this morning.
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you? Yeah.
I won the Fantasy Football Manager of the Month for January, so yeah, as you can see, we're all award winners.
We're all award winners. Yeah, we are all award winners.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ice Cream Uploads, who sent Cameron the bottle of champagne for coming first in the month of January in the Fantasy Football League. You recently.
I'll repeat that.
Yeah, it was a one-off. I'm going to say that now. So you recently won an award yourself, Grant, at this year's GA Conf Awards, which was. Would you like to say their formal name, because I can never remember the actual titles?
It is the Best Journalism Award for an accessibility advocate inspired change, but she never actually existed. And that was a piece I wrote from April 2024 to August 2024.
Because I think I was at yours when that story broke, wasn't it?
So that's 5 months. Off the top of my head. Yeah.
Roughly.
And you obviously won. Did you win the same award last year for a different piece?
I did, yes.
Yes. So we're in honoured company today, Cameron.
Yeah, we should rename the award, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, please don't.
So we're not going to go into too much detail about the piece. A lot of listeners are going to know about it. How did that kind of information affect you? Because obviously everyone deals with situations differently. I know for a fact me and Cameron lead heavily on humour in them kind of situations. But someone like yourself that spent 5-6 months making that piece, writing that piece, how was the kind of when you kind of clicked that send button and it went live? What was kind of going through your head? Because it's safe to say it definitely rocked the accessibility boat.
I immediately burst into tears when that went live. I immediately started sobbing profusely. It was someone who I thought was a friend. Like I received Christmas cards from this person, right? It was something that I think I put this on Twitter at the time. Always Twitter, never X. Fuck you, Elon. It was something that I never wanted to write it. I don't want to write anything like that again. But it was something that needed to happen to allow the community to heal and move forward. I think the hardest part about it is because it was so sensitive, and I'm a journalist, so like when I'm doing like an investigative piece, I don't talk to anyone because I can't, right? Like, I just can't. I had to keep it from so many people. There was only a small handful of people who knew. My family, my close friends, who aren't in the industry at all. Like they're just players, so they don't really know who any of these people are. And my partner, Poppy, were really the only ones who could know about it. And it was very intense because every month I learned new things. So it was very intense to not only learn these new things, but then have to write about said new things. And I would say I just recently fully processed it all. I would say probably like December, roughly, is when I fully was like, okay, it's done. I've processed it, I've absorbed it. Okay. There was something that I was terrified of the reaction of people. I was terrified of, holy shit, what if I'm wrong? Um, I don't think I was. I don't know for sure, but I don't think I was. What's the misconception with advocates from now on? Like, how will this impact our community or like ability to work in the industry? It wasn't something that I could just write, hit submit, and then be good. There were a lot of implications during the piece, and especially after the piece, that I had to sit there and continuously take in and essentially monitor it. And even though like Poppy, she's so sweet and loving, was like, you don't have to. I was like, but I do though, right? Because I can't just hit publish and then be like, bye, have fun. All of you enjoy this. I had to be there because if I was the one producing this information, I couldn't just leave and then be like, all right, you're on your own. Obviously, there's some things I will never be able to talk about with the community. There's some things I will never be able to answer because I just can't, right? But I wasn't able to just sit back and just leave and let it alone. I had to sit there and watch as people reacted to it. Because I then had to make sure that like we would be okay after this. Because at the end of the day, I was the one with the most knowledge of the situation. So I couldn't just not be there for the community. Thankfully the community was not as reactionary to me as I was worried about. And I would say, maybe I'm wrong on this, maybe you two would know better than me. I would say we've all kind of moved on at this point.
Oh, 100%. It's,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I had, it was definitely a kind of shock and awe for a week. There was a lot of conversations of, shit, it makes sense. And processing it. And I just remember checking in, a lot of people would be like, you're alright, because I'm quite, when some big information's like that, I'm quite quick to process it. So I was like, you kind of just make the people that you know might not process it as well, or struggle a little bit. It was kind of like, right, now let's just check on other people. And we kind of did that.
Yeah.
And then everyone kind of went, actually, you know what, it'll be alright, because we still have each other. And that sounds really cliche and stuff, but the accessibility community is so small, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. It's the one thing that I was actually pleasantly surprised. Just how, like, I don't want to say okay, right? But, like, how the community just rallied around each other.
Yeah.
And there were some people, right, who were like, oh my god, how is this going to impact me and my career? Which is a very valid statement, right? Because it did have the potential to impact everyone's careers. So I'm never upset at those people who had those feelings, just they're entirely valid. But I was very surprised at how unified they were over it. Like after the process had ended, how like fine it was to my perspective, and you just
I do think your perspective is 100% how I would feel about the situation as well. And so let's move on and discuss something positive in the community. You and Poppy have become kind of a we had to mention it, we couldn't. You have become kind of an iconic couple in the accessibility space, haven't you? You can't deny it. It's everyone kind of loved both.
Indeed.
Yeah, everyone loved you beforehand, separately, and now you've. I don't want to kind of say you've become one, two become one. There's a song in there somewhere, but that's just such an amazing piece about the accessibility community, and you and Poppy kind of highlight it as just two great people that have found each other. It's almost like me and Cam.
See, that's better than me and Poppy, but you two have.
No. Emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's
how did you come to meet Poppy other than virtually? Let's get to the nitty gritty and what the people really want to know.
The heartbreaking journalism. So Poppy and I, in 2020, she followed me because of my work with Canada. And I saw her picture, looked at her profile, saw the thread she makes, because she makes a lot of prolific, very knowledgeable threads. And I was like, oh shit, she's cute and smart. No thank you. So I just ignored her for 6 months. And
that's
that's a great start.
That's when you know you've got raised for 6 months.
Yeah. After 6 months, she wouldn't stop replying to me. And I was like, oh shit, I have to interact with her. So I did, and then we became virtual friends for roughly 3 years, we would always have little inside jokes. It was very easy to talk with her. Like, I would post things, because I called her my reply girl. She'll refuse, she'll say no, but she's a liar. Where she would just reply to me all the time. And I would reply to her all the time. Like, and we would just have little jokes. It was very fun. And then I really wanted to get to know her better. So I pitched the Starfield piece. And if my editor is listening, I did not do it for this purpose. But I pitched it with the intent of interviewing Poppy, because I've tried to interview that woman for years. And the one time I almost succeeded, but unfortunately the story just didn't pan out. So I finally got it, because I knew the Starfield piece was going to be about Bethesda as a whole. If you don't know us about Poppy, she is one of the biggest Fallout nerds ever. She loves Fallout. She loves Fallout. And I knew this. So I pitched it to the public. Like, hey, I'm looking to speak with fans of Bethesda. And she immediately blew up my DMs. And I was like, oh, well, do you mind if I interview you? She was like, yeah. And I was like, it's probably easier if you just gave me your number so that I could get a hold of you. She's like, oh, yeah, here. And she gave me her number.
So smooth.
Smooth.
I did.
Silky.
And then that summer in July, we just grew closer. And then in August of that summer, we were both like, hey, we've been friends for years. Obviously, we are doing things that, we're sort of like staring at each other like, what the fuck are we doing? Do you want to try dating? I like you. And she said, yeah, I like you too, immediately. And then that was on August 2nd. And then in September 25th, she flew from England to Pittsburgh. She was supposed to spend just a week, but she spent 12 days. And that's how it began, really. I mean, there's obviously a lot more details, but it's the summarizing of it is we were friends for years. We finally got to interview her. We finally got her number. We became closer friends, and then we're like, hey, let's try it out. And so far, we're really very happy and very excited for the future, and you can read into that however you want. And yeah, we're just very, very happy to be with each other.
No, that's it's just, I think, a great example of how accessibility is not just about accessibility, it's about friendship, it's about the community, like the people you can meet in the community. And I just, it's a great story and two amazing personalities from the space. And I think that is a great point to end on and move over to this week's gaming news with some patch notes. But again, just like to say thank you, Grant, for some of your time, and we will be back in a few seconds after a small break to get the latest gaming news from an award-winning journalist. Hello everybody and welcome back to Put It Bluntly. We are on to the second segment of today's episode, which is patch notes, and we are still joined by the ever amazing Grant Stoner and my hostess with the mostess, Cameron Keywood. Gents, we've got 3 pieces of news today, and as always, we will take it in turns. I'm going to start with something that just made me giggle. So obviously, we've recently had Sony start play to put their games onto PC, transport them over to port them onto PC, however you want to put it. And ex former Sony executive Shuhei Yoshida has come out and said, I quote, it explicitly releasing its games PC is a license for Sony to print money. It's true. I just think it's great. It's great. It's just kind of gone. Do you know how much money we're making off this? And it at the moment, I think it's just a bit of fun inside to someone that's kind of gone. All right, I'm held the biggest spot, one of the biggest spots in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to turn around and go, oh, by the way, guys, we are printing money off you lot at the moment.
Yeah, he hasn't been around doing a lot of interviews because he's retired. So he was told he was head of indies at one point, like just before he left, and he was told by Jim Ryan, who used to run PlayStation, "Oh, you take the indie job or go." Which Yoshida's one of, I think he's like number 26th employee in PlayStation's history, is because they have employee numbers, and I think he's like 26th, like well respected. I got to hear him talk last year, develop, and really insightful, and yeah, trying to push him out is thing. I think PlayStation would be a bit worse off without him, to be honest. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, so print money.
It definitely feels like he's kind of stepped away from the role and gone, do you know what, I'm going to have some fun with this. And just start throwing out random quotes as like, by the way, guys, we're basically using you to print money at Sony. It's the wheels are off and he's just gone through balling. It's great. Yeah. Yeah. So, Grant, what do you bring to the table this week?
I bring not great news. NetEase, the developer behind Marvel Rivals, announced that they were laying off the entire Seattle team a few days ago, including the director of that division. According to reports, the game will still be operational. It will still be following its season pass and planned content, but NetEase has laid off the entire Seattle region of Marvel Rivals. Some are speculating that it could be because of the tariff situation with the current American administration. I'm trying very politely not to express my true feelings with that. But others are suspecting that NetEase Games itself is sort of like the what's that other company that buys studios and then dismantles them?
Tencent.
Not Tencent. It is, but not. It's
Embracer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. People
There's
are
just so many of them now.
There's so many.
Yeah.
People are comparing NetEase's layoffs with Embracer. Embracer, like you said, was notorious for purchasing studios with prolific portfolios and then just gutting them completely, forcing them to shut down. They are a big reason why there are so many layoffs in this industry. It's because of Embracer, along with other companies, but Embracer is definitely up there as one of the reasons. Currently, there is no reason as to why. Allegedly, according to a very new report from Bloomberg published today, the CEO of NetEase wants games that generate hundreds of millions of dollars. Perhaps Marvel Rivals didn't reach that goal, even though it did, according to sources. It received well over $1 billion from sales. So no one really knows why this happened. It could be tariff issues. It could be just poor executive leadership. It could be perhaps they're trying to downsize like Embracer does. We just don't know yet.
I saw it's not a funny meme, but I did see one, and it was just one, and it was like, we make good games, we make bad games, we get made redundant. We make great games, we get made redundant. We make billions of pounds, we get made redundant. It's like
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of last year's Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
The surprising closure, where Xbox touted it as a huge success, a surprise success, and then the entire studio was laid off. Several months later.
Yeah.
It's people are comparing it to that, and very reminiscent of that.
It's just, I would quite like to go a week on the podcast.
Yes, it's usually Wobbles.
It's me.
Layoff news.
It's normally me that brings it.
Reaper.
I am the Grim Reaper on the pod normally, and it would be quite nice where we could go with like 2 episodes maybe without having to kind of mention
you say
it.
this every time, and then next week.
Sorry, I just need to stop mentioning it. But
just don't mention it.
Let's fingers crossed we can kind of. We don't have to mention it in the next 2 episodes, but Cameron, as always, you bring the weird, wonderful, and wacky news to this segment of the podcast.
Yeah, so, previous ones have been about an executive having to pay for a firefighting plane after his drone crashed into it, and other such stories, but this one is very interesting. Donkey Kong trainers have been released. So I'll just get the article up because my sister decided, no, I don't want the article up. And I shut it down. So, yeah, Donkey Kong is getting his own Air Max 1 inspired sneakers.
Oh my god, they're Air Max 1s?
Yeah, Air Max 1s. Low poly, like Nike swoosh. Like brown and cream. As you'd expect, Donkey Kong. And the brown looks like fur. There's like yellow, red and yellow.
Cameron, I want them!
Yeah, I like the look of them. They are really nice. There's a banana on the foot.
Yeah.
On the bottom of the sole. That is like low poly, like dirt. So, there's always been, over the last couple of years, brands trying to get into gaming merchandise with shoes. I mean, God knows how many there are now.
So
controllers as well. Like I remember that. I think it was Furry controller for Sonic.
Yep.
They're making more and more mad stuff, and these are probably one of the nicest looking ones, to be fair.
How much are they?
So I've just found an article that claims they're going to be dropped in the summer by Nike for around $150. But so I do quite like trainers, and I can tell you now they'll be like gold dust, and they will quadruple in price the moment they are dropped, because there will be Nintendo fans and trainer fans all over the world screaming to get their hands on a pair of furry Donkey Kong trainers. So yeah, if Nike, if you're listening, we won't say no to a pair.
Yeah, do a review.
Yeah, but no. So as always, Cam's brought the weird and wonderful, and there's been quite a lot of gaming news this week. Actually, normally sometimes you can struggle with finding an article, but this week's not been. And it's not all been bad news. We've had some good highlights. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 hit 2 million copies of sales. Avowed topped the Steam charts for purchases. It's been quite a positive week with releases. And let's hope we can bring some more of that next week with the next instalment of Patch Notes. But now we will move over to the last segment of the quiz, where we will be testing Grant's knowledge and hopefully be donating some money to a charity under his name. So we will be moving over to... I can't remember the name of the segment again, Cam!
Charity Challenge!
Charity Challenge after this short break.
Accessibility podcast called To Put It Bluntly.
Go!
Hello everyone, We are back after another short break, and it is time for the charity challenge. So, as you know, we give our guest, when we ask them to come on, we ask them for their favourite game of all time, and a charity. So, Grant, what is your game?
My favorite game of all time is Pokemon Soul Silver. I'm a huge Pokemon fan, and Soul Silver is just the better version of what was originally my favorite game, Pokemon Silver. So it's an easy choice for me.
Yep, us. And what is your charity?
My charity is New Disabled South. It's a charity that focuses on the disabled rights of individuals in 14 southern states, especially right now under the current, everything happening.
Yep.
It's really important to donate to charities that are giving disabled people community, resources, advocacy, the ability to fight for their rights as they are under attack, as we know. And it's a good way to support because also uh, a lot of southern charities aren't really recognized compared to charities in New York and California and all that. So it's nice to be able to highlight um, something that does really good work for probably millions of people across 14 different states.
That's amazing because it's not
All,
like
all the
that's
information will be in the dump as
yeah.
usual. But
And
yeah, I think it's time.
yeah, so I was quite excited because I'm not. I wouldn't go as far to say I'm a Pokemon fanboy, but I am definitely a massive fan of the Pokemon series. Cameron straight away went, "Well, that's you sorted," because
Yeah,
I
that's
haven't
you.
yet.
I do the quiz every week.
Cameron normally does the
Yeah,
quiz,
Pokemon
but
fan.
yeah, he messaged me and went, "That's yours." I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." So we'll start off with 5 questions. Varying difficulty. The first 2 are multiple choice. I'll do number 1, 3, and 5, and Cameron will do 2 and 4 today, just because that's the way we've got it set. So, question number 1: all of the professors in the game are named after different varieties of what?
Trees.
Yep. Is that your final answer, or would you like to hear the 3 options?
Yeah, I will hear the free options.
It's
But
cars, trees, or birds.
trees.
You are correct.
Right. Question 2. Soul Silver was released in 2009. What year was the original Pokemon Silver released? Was it 1998, 1999, or 2000?
99.
He's got it.
Oh, got it.
It's yeah. 2 out of 2. What Pokemon is featured on the case of Soul Silver?
Lugia. It's
Correct.
one of my favorites.
Oh, I've made this
I have
too
a poster of
easy.
him behind my desk.
I've
Behind my
made
desk.
it.
And I don't know if you see the poster behind me is me with a Lugia on my champ and a Steelix. It's an
Oh,
artistic rendering of that.
that's amazing. Yeah, Cameron. I don't think I've
What
made
was
this
this like?
hard. I don't think I've made this hard enough. You know.
Right, question 4. Team Rocket reappears ever in Soul Silver. What notorious lead are they awaiting the return of?
Giovanni.
Yep, got it.
Yeah.
Guys, come on.
Bob was going to get a lot of angry complaints.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some complaints on this one.
Question 5.
Question 5. What colour hair does gym leader Bugsy have in the game?
Purple.
He's got 5 out of 5, Cam.
Silver 5. Yep.
He's got a 5. Oh, he's taken the lead. Right. There's gonna be some hate in the comments for this because I thought that was a bit more trickier than that. He's absolutely smashed it.
Well, you had a go at me last week, Grant, because I asked a voice actor question to a voice actor.
Yeah, Pokemon's
So,
like
Cameron, is the
favorite
one question you
franchise of all
sent me actually a real thing that happened?
What do you mean?
Which developer compared Soul Silver's...
No.
No, I don't know.
So I did say, oh, this might be a bit too easy, like in my opinion. So I sent a question. Needs a question like which developer compared Soul Silver's development to his divorce from his wife? A. Nagundo Bolsaki. B. Divorced Loser. C. Fred from Accounting. Or D. Mr. Pokemon. And
It's
he
obviously Fred from accounting.
yeah, and he thought that was real. Oh god.
All right, it's been a long few days. So
Yeah.
we will go over to the next part because if anyone else can match 5, we will have to have a tiebreaker. So,
Yeah.
Grant, you've been warned. I will now randomly generate a letter.
On the phone.
Oh yeah, because then people can see it.
Yes, you don't lose your.
Random letter generator. So, we have already had letters T, H, C, and K, so they are eliminated. We have got, obviously, the first 2 letters I've generated T and C, obviously. Can we just confer, Cameron? We said there's certain letters that are going to probably be too hard.
Yeah.
Q.
Let me just check the list. Yeah, there's like not that many.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I did think that because I can only think of one straight off the bat. Right, we've got a letter. Your letter, Grant, is B for banana.
Yeah, that's
So-
quite a few for B. So
Yeah, I will. You've got the time it takes for me to find the timer on my phone because I forget. where
Wait,
it is.
before you begin the timer, if a game has, like, a trilogy...
Fair game.
You
Go
just-
for it. Yeah, that's 3
yeah,
points.
you can name all 3. You can't like just say, oh, Mass Effect trilogy, for example, if it was M.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
Mass
have
Effect
so
1, Mass Effect 2, Mass
yeah
Effect
we've
3.
said if you get Call of Duty and you can remember you've got Call of Duty, you're cleaning up. So you have
That
got
won't happen this year.
yeah that won't happen because the person that got
Easy
C didn't think of Call of Duty. But we have got 30 seconds as of now, Grant.
Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3, Borderlands 4 soon to be announced. Battlefield 1, Battlefield 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 1942, Battlefield Bad Company 2, oh my god, my brain. Backpack Battles. It's an indie game on Steam.
Time is up.
That's 10.
That's 10. That is clear of the. So he's gone and smashed it. 5 correct answers in the quiz and then 10 games.
Panic on the games way on the Wobbles. No.
No one panics. So
Yeah, that's gonna be the score. I think.
yeah, I think we're going to be donating to your charity at the end of the series by some margin, Grant. So that does bring us to the end of this week's episode. Again, it's a pleasure to get time to speak to you, Grant. You are I don't know how to word it, but you are renowned in the accessibility space, inside the disability community as well. You don't take this the wrong way, but you've been around as long as I can remember in the accessibility space. You were one of the first people I followed when I kind of pursued it as an advocate, and it's been a pleasure. That's what I kind of didn't want to call him old, but it's been a pleasure to pick your brains for an hour and a half to chat to you properly, because we kind of always, a lot of the time, it's crossing trains in our community, isn't it? We're always talking about the same things or saying hello and goodbye, but it's been a pleasure to get to speak to you for an hour and a half, give or take. Thank you again for your time, and as always, congratulations for this year's award. And I just want to say keep up the good work, and that has been this week's episode of To Put It Bluntly. I've been the Wobbly Gamer.
I've been Cameron Keywood, who won't be here next week, but kind of will because we're starting a new segment. But you'll find out next week. But, yeah, ignore me for now. And our fabulous guest, Grant.
Thank you for having me. I genuinely appreciate it, and I love the work you two are doing and continue doing. Congratulations to you, Wobbles, with your award, and Tam with your award.
Yep,
As
my
you can
thought
know,
of the
yeah.
week.
Yeah,
So
it's still an award.
thank you, and that
Yep,
is the end of
thank you
this
very
week's
much.
episode.